My name is Robbie Dawson, and I'm born and raised in Manhattan. Growing up in a mixed-race house was interesting because both of my parents are now Baptist ministers, and my grandparents are both Baptist ministers from Charlotte, North Carolina. So being biracial, being the only white father coming to pick up a little black boy, going to family functions was in itself a thing. The question of what am I is an ongoing statement. It's like one of the first things people ask me in clubs, bars, what are you? Human, person, just chilling. But it's like and then they start with the tossing out the race guess. Like, are you Dominican? Oh, they would love if I was Dominican, which is a whole nother thing. Are you Dominican? Are you Middle Eastern? Are you, what's going on here? What is that? People like labels. We like to know what things are so we can put it in the comfortable box of how we can control the things around us. We want to know, are you a top? Are you a bottom? Are you black? Are you white? It's easier for us to comprehend things if we put a label on it. I think sometimes it's more about the intent of the question than the question itself. So if you are asking because you're really interested in what my makeup is, my DNA, what feeds to these brown eyes and this face full of freckles, if you're really interested, opposed to it just checking off a box in your fetish list. In the gay community especially, who do you blame? Because every site you go to is you want bears, otters. We created these labels. So you can't be mad when someone's like, I want a homo thug we literally just write lists of the things that we want because that's how we search out people. It's not, I want a good person. I want someone educated. It's BBW. It's a black thug, or I want a twink. We've created these things in our community, especially dating wise. So it's like before someone even meets you, you're already made to be this thing. I'm a cub, big black dick. These are my check marks, and this is what I'm looking for. I'm usually someone's fetish. First, I'm like a bear, like 220 solid, face full of beard. It's like that's a whole. I go to this thing called like BBP, which is like this. It started off as more like big boys coming together to support, because that's a whole nother thing when you start saying no fats, no femmes, or no fats at all. The gay community and size shaming is a whole nother thing. And that's not including the fact that especially there's fat shaming. I always say this to God, I hate this thing now. It sounds terrible. I always say this to some of my white friends. I'm like, you have to worry about being fat, because in my community, it's absolutely fine. I don't ever have to worry about if that's going to stop me from getting ass, because all this works. But it's a totally different ball game out there with those girls. It's like, if you don't got a six-pack ab, it's not happening for you. I think there is a particular set of guys who think that they have to look this way to be accepted overall. And that kind of really more reflects on the things that they're kind of going through. But I definitely know, especially in my community, black community, there's a lot of guys who dress a certain way, work out a certain way, act a certain way, and only, let's say, they won't go to ethnic parties. They kind of go to industry and therapy, and that's their group. And it's like, hey, girl, you ever been to Secrets? They're like, no, I don't do black parties. And I'm like, you don't do black parties? Oh, did you mean to see urban? They don't do urban parties. And I'm like, oh, interesting. But there's definitely a uniform. I like to say it's the uniform. Work out 4 to 5 days a week. They wear their little Sperry's, and it might work out for them. Majority of it is outside imagery, but I think the core of it is what we project back onto our own community. It's like, for me, do I particularly blame Andy Cohen for every woman thinking that I'm going to walk up to them and say, hey, girl? Because what he's doing is still stereotyping black gay men. Just from this channel alone, I can see 4 or 5 upstanding, white, smart, intelligent guys. But for black gay men, all I see are men in high heels being sassy or someone's hairdresser. Is he part of the problem or part of the solution? He's showing a range, but what is the range that he's showing? So it's the same as like, we control the media, we control what we put out there, we control what we want our community to do. But are we showing a level of diversity that reflects all of us, or just one small portion of us? And then we push it back into young minds. And if none of us kind of stand up and say, well, it's not okay for you to really classify me as this, a twink, or this is what's going to get me into the club, or this look or this uniform it's what's going to make me special, or smarter, or more talented. Usually doesn't work, but I mean, you could be a hot bartender for Andy Cohen. For one night, sign that waiver, girl. That's the only time you're going to get a girl out of me.